Ah, fancy lands, you remind me so much of Badlands, but you have been corrected to a certain degree. Looks like we've got on the north side Bias going UEF, and on the south side Blinchik as Aeon, which is a bit of a weird thing. Random actually does equal Aeon. Okay then, well, Pancakes, good luck with your Auroras, man. So Bias is going first land, got a couple of P-Gens down, 4 Mass Extractors, and then the factory is queued over to grab the Hydro. On this side we have 2 land factories going down, 4 power generators, and 4 Mass Extractors. They're going to take advantage of a little bit of the adjacency. Blinchik might have a bit of an advantage very, very early on, because of course the Auroras are a little bit OP once you get them in mass. But moving later on into the game, you've got Percival's versus Harbies, which is probably the single worst T3 land matchup. Aeon, if the game gets to that point, has to rely on Galactic Colossuses and air control. So you're going to want to abuse Auroras, shift to Harbingers as fast as you possibly can, and then do your raiding with the Harbingers to try to suppress your opponent enough that by the time he does get Percival's, you're far enough ahead that you can win the game. And that's pretty much the only way to do it, unless you win with T1 land spam. Blinchik getting 4 land factories in his expansion, in his spawn rather. On the Hydro, we've got an air factory, 3 P-Gens, then a land. And then on the other Hydro, we've got 2 air and 2 more land. So in the initial planning, we've actually got 7 land factories in place. Or is that 6? No, that is 7, because one of them is built. Bias, on the other hand, is planning on finishing off his 2nd land factory. He's got 3rd air factory on the Hydro, built by 2 engineers. Tank and a scout moving out to the right to try to prevent any movements through the center, and also to pick up an engineer on the raid. We've got ACU moving to pick up mass extractors there, and then here, land factory and point defense. So a rather lengthy build queue on that one. And then if games play out like they normally do, this tank would be able to pick up an engineer over here, because this ACU will be moving to the left, which it is. But Blinchik, knowing that there will be a tank coming down here to kill the engineer, has fully embraced the mind games and is moving his tank over to intercept the tank that is tanking that tank. Yeah, I'm just gonna leave that one alone and move on to something else. Blinchik is on 3rd land factory. We have a scout out headed up to the north. Scout in the north that is going to head south. Everybody just exchanging places and basically playing musical chairs. 2nd air factory planned for Bias. So just anticipating what is likely to happen in this game, probably Blinchik will take air control because he does have an extra factory, and that's important because, as we talked about a couple of games ago, if you are Aeon, you want air control because of how devastating T1 bombers can be. So that air win is pretty much assured at this point, looking at the builds. And then UEF is going to try to get a few more tanks on the ground and move into the later stages of the game where they have their strengths. Got engineers over here, got all of these mexes going down with a P-Gen, not a P-Gen, a point defense, and another factory. Expansions are looking quite nice indeed. Oh my goodness! They exchanged places. So the tank that Bias sent completely missed the tank that Blinchik sent, and it picked up the engineer. Blinchik's tank is going to make it all the way up to the north and move around the back end. Probably going to pick up this engineer at some point that is building the mass extractors in the rear for Bias. And then Bias has sent 2 tanks with scouts around the left. One of those will surely die to the ACU, but the other will successfully get around the back end, meet his compadre, and hopefully both of them will be able to eliminate the opposition sent after and then pick up an engineer kill. That tank is dodging desperately, will be able to get away from the ACU and join its companions on the left. So we've now got a total of 4 tanks. This one is moving to the south. This one is getting harassed by T1 land scouts. I don't think that's going to be anything more than a minor annoyance. And then Striker moving in on an Aurora in the center. But of course, since the Aurora was able to fire out of range for just a couple of seconds, it will win. Half the HP, same amount of damage. Whether or not it comes out the victor in a 1v1 depends on how long you can hold your opponent at range. We do have a couple of T1 air scouts in the back here. Those are going to be able to pick up the units moving around the rear. And there's also a land scout this way just to check. Second air factory coming online at about the same time as Blinchik is dropping his. Looks like we've got ACU all the way over to the left. Land factory point defense after the Mexa, similar to what Bias is doing, but Bias is a little bit faster. Looking at the current eco, Blinchik and Bias running neck and neck, 4.2 to 4.5k. Let's get into the cheats menu here and try not to disturb anyone. Bias at 41 mass per tick with 1100 reclaim under his belt. Blinchik with 2100 reclaim and 37 mass per tick. So Blinchik double the reclaim, slightly less mass, steady income, and Bias the opposite of that. Let's see, set focus army, -1, and we are golden. Hallelujah. Get rid of that console. As far as interceptors go, looks like we got 5, 6, 7 interceptors on the south versus exactly 7 on the north. So these guys are absolutely running neck and neck in all things at once. Blinchik not really picking up the extra hydros till much later on in the game. It does look like Bias is picking them up as soon as he possibly can. We've got all of them built except for one, and that one is at 90%. Moving around to the rear to pick up all of the mass extractors that can be had. And Bias is finishing off his point defense. So, where are we going to go on our upgrade paths? I don't see any T2 mexes quite yet. We've got a T2 factory building with a T2 mex on the way for Bias. On the south side, we do not have any such thing. No T2 mex as of yet. All in on the T1 land spam. So the pillars are going to be able to deal with Auroras much better than the strikers are. The disadvantage is going to be in the map control that's lost due to lower unit count, which we have talked about before. We got a T1 point defense online over here though, and it would appear that there's only one artillery in place for Blinchik, and it is in the rear of the unit pack. So this point defense might be able to do some good work versus that grouping. A little bit of a win in the center there. Too many strikers for the Auroras to overcome. You gotta back off when that's happening and kite it out for as long as you can. Bias moves up to the front. No upgrade as of yet, but he is gonna park himself in between those two postings and hope that he can guard the choke point with his ACU. Not have to expend any units whatsoever on that task. Tanks moving around to the left. Gonna pick up those before they can do too terribly much damage. Missed a mass extractor. What on earth was that? I very rarely see somebody miss something to that degree. Hopefully that mass extractor doesn't bother us for long with its lack of a build. Another land factory yet still for Blinchik going down. Looks like we are at too many for me to count casually. We got T2 engineers out. Those are going to build a T2 power generator. I'm a little curious as to what the range is. Let me get Bias up here, and we'll focus on him for just a memento. We've got the T2 NGs that I can pick up here, and that is your TAC missile range. So he's not going to be able to build adjacent to the T2 PGen. Those will want to get TMD up, though, because you don't have good scoutages over here. Actually, no. There is a radar there, so that is going to cover. I take back exactly what I just said. So attack missile built over here somewhere still would be able to knock out a significant portion of eco if you're not careful. You'll want to get your TMD up early and be protected. Alright, once that PGen comes online, Bias will be taking a pretty significant advantage over his opponent. We do have a T2 factory up for Blinchik, which I am 100% sure will lead to a T2 PGen and then a T2 to T3 shift. But I do see a couple of obsidians being produced. What on earth? We've got scaling for pillar production, a single solitary Aurora moving around the back. That's going to be a pain in Bias's buttocks before too long. We do have mongoose moving in Those, yeah, that actually makes more sense than the pillar spam, but pillars are being built from both of those factories. The mongoose, if you have the time to micro them, are able to do devastating amounts of damage to packs of auroras. The grenade that they throw has area of effect. You run them in, hit from max range, run them back. They're significantly faster than auroras, and you just got to manipulate that firing cycle once every 8 to 10 seconds or so. If you can do that, you can lay waste to the hordes of auroras that are on your doorstep. Bias picking up an upgrade there, which is probably going to be his T2. Yes. So he might be able to get point defense down to guard the pass. Hello, Mr. Aurora. I knew you were going to be a pain. Just circling around the back casually, killing off a mass extractor, an engineer here or there. Well done. Mongoose moving up to the front line might be able to do a little bit of damage, but I don't think it's going to be anything too terribly significant. Units moving to the right, though, that is a whole nother matter. Point defense going down just in the last shot. It's death gasp, eliminating the defenses. There's no units left to capitalize, so all is still at a stalemate. A stalemate is exactly what the UEF player wants, even though there is a unit in enemy territory. The stalemate means that the UEF player can tech, he can get more mass, he can get Percivals online, and then things will go exceptionally well for him. For the Aeon player, the longer you're in this phase of the game, the worse things look for you, and I don't know exactly what Blinchik has planned to deal with that. Maybe it's a lack of playing with Aeon, maybe something else, but there's no T3 shift yet, and there's actually not a whole lot of eco going on. We've only got one single T2 mass extractor online. Usually Blinchik is an eco player. Techs as much as possible, even to the point of nearly dying, and then moves with great swiftness at the end of the game with a great amount of mass. But we're seeing the exact reverse of that right now. We do have roughly even scores still, but I don't think that's going to stick around for too long. 3 T2 mass extractors to Bias's name, plus that T2 P-Gen. Working on a second T2 P-Gen, do have overcharge. That is excellent. T2 did happen on the commander, so that T2 point defense will be able to guard pretty much anything. And Blinchik has got a double gun upgrade on the ACU. That'll let him chew through all these T2 units as long as he can get away from the terrain blocking his shots. I know that the ACU does have a little bit of an arch on its firing pattern, but it's not very much. It's pretty flat. So you do not want to be firing over the tops of craters like this. Look at the amount of pillars that are starting to come onto the field. We've got a total of 6 T2 factories, one of them heavily assisted online, and those are just going to be pouring pillars out into the world. Is that another? No, that is not. That is a shut down T1 factory. So it looks like he's waiting. He's got all the T2 he needs to secure the gaps. He's flowing his units where they need to go, and he's just going to slightly constrict on Blinchik's base. Take a little bit of map control. Get that one extra mass extractor. That tiny little sliver of eco that's going to keep pushing him further and further ahead of where Blinchik is at. Second T2 mass extractor upgrade coming online for Blinchik. But again, I don't think that's going to be enough. No others in progress. And on the north side, we've got 3 still. It looks like Bias might have actually stalled for a bit. He's decided that it... Oh no! Never mind, I take that back. He's upgrading 4 at once on the other side. Oh my, oh my. I did not even see that. So yeah, that's going to put him leaps and bounds ahead in mass income. Probably by the time those all finish, he can drop another pair or so in the back and then either scale up his pillar production or move to Percivals. That is a T3 land HQ. He's moving to the Percival game. Blinchik is also going T3, but I think it's too late. You gotta be moving to Harbingers like minute 10 on this map, to be honest, if you're going to make it work. Obsidians trying to eat into this fire base. They're probably going to eliminate the PD, but the clump is going to make for an easy overcharge. That is the end of that push. Bias is going to totally shut that down. You know what would be a great addition up on the front line? Field engineers. You gotta have a little Sparky in your life. If you do that, you can get a T2 point defense down. You can give yourself something for your units to fall back to. All in all, it can be a good time. Now this also looks like a good time. We've got a pair of T3 units, or T2 units I should say, 3 T2 tanks. They're gonna drop into the rear of the base. I smell shenanigans afoot, but I think they're dropping way too far into the base. Speaking of another pair of T2 mexes, there's another pair of T2 mexes. He might have been upgrading 6 at once. If those obsidians dropped here, they might have time to kill off a lot of these T2 mass extractors before things went south. But as it is, I don't think they're even going to make the drop. He's dropping right into interceptors. Let's take a look at the intel that these guys have. Perfect intel for Bias. He sees pretty much everything that's going on and has everything on radar that he needs to have. Blinchik, on the other hand, does not have most things scouted. No scout since those went to T2. Oh, those were first. Okay. Well, that makes sense. And the drop failed. And no significant amount of forward radar. So, yeah, Blinchik not looking too good here. 103 income versus 123 income, and both of these players are neck and neck on reclaim. So the UEF player is slowly but surely pulling ahead, and that is not what you want to have happening when Percivals are about to hit the field. Slow upgrade, but an upgrade nonetheless. It is still coming about. We've got even more T2 mass extractor upgrades on the way. More in the back. Not quite yet, but I'm sure soon. Another pair over here. Yeah, just got to keep zooming in. He's not relying on engineers to upgrade them. He's relying on mass upgrades to make the difference. So we got 4 T2s there. We've got one over here with another on the way. Blinchik technically being more efficient with the sequencing of the upgrades. But that doesn't make a difference when your opponent has the eco to just mass upgrade and can hold the line like so. All right, first Harbinger has just hit the field. Where's our Percivals at? Not quite building yet. So Harbingers are gonna have about a 45-second head start. I don't think that that is enough. Aw, look at the assistants. They're moving in such a beautiful little Pac-Man around the ACU, and not anymore. Never mind. If I'm not totally mistaken, the Mongoose matches range with the Aeon Guncom, so theoretically if the Mongoose can shoot, the ACU can. But of course that's dependent on intel and exact movement and that kind of thing. And then the Hoplite has slightly longer range than the ACU does with the double gun upgrade. So the Aeon Commander is one of the few that can actually contest range bots. Harbinger moving in, gonna knock out a pillar, gonna try to knock out another, dealing heavy damage as those sons of guns do. But the shielding is down, the Mongoose is taking its toll, and that is gonna have to retreat. So now, Bias does know for a fact that there's T3 units on the field. Second Harbinger, kind of hanging back towards the base, need to get up in there and push as much as possible before the Percivals come out and lock down the field, because once you get 5 or 6 Percivals in the same spot, especially when you got a group of pillars to front, the Harbingers just are not going to be able to keep up. Looks like more mass extractor upgrades happening. We got 2 more in the back there, and then 4th upgrade on the left side expansion, plus we have these going down on the center. So Blinchik still playing catch up though. We've got 2 that haven't upgraded there yet. We've got a couple in the back that are upgrading, I guess deemed safe by Bias. All in all, Blinchik still behind. I don't like this, no, not one bit. The only thing Blinchik has going for him is the fact that he does have the 2 side expansions. What could be really fun here is to grab one of these T2 engineers on a transport, go up here, and just build a single T2 artillery. it would be very difficult for Bias to kill it, and that one miasma, due to the accuracy, could probably eliminate quite a few of these T2 mass extractors and just provide general area denial. I know that T2 stationary artillery is typically a bad idea. I fully realize that. However, in a situation like this, it can be a stupid amount of fun. So many pillars! The spam, she is real, and it looks like they're all going over to the left, or at least 80% of them are. I'm wondering if this is a bid for an ACU kill, but the double gun comm plus shield now is going to be quite difficult to shut down. Bias is on the front line with his T2 comm. He's got 4 triads in hand, plus the pillars that he is moving over to the right, and a Percival, in fact. That's going to be more than enough to deny this move. Once again, choking Blinchik into a corner, not letting any kind of expansion happen. The map control is still almost exactly 50-50. Nobody has the middle mechs. Bias has a few of the center mechs on the sides, and then Blinchik has the plateaus. But again, we're seeing all of these T2 mass extractors on the back. Bias just pulling further and further ahead. Let me grab a glimpse. 176 mass per tick, 36 positive. Struggling more on power than mass currently, with 15,000 reclaim. 15,000 reclaims, same dealio for Blinchik, but look at the mass difference. 177, 138. Things are rapidly becoming dire for Blinchik. Really hope this doesn't turn out as badly as I think it will, but it might. Can you please, there we go. Please cooperate with me, UI. All right, the Percivals, they number 4. The Percivals over here, they number 2. That is versus about 5-6 Harbingers and a couple of shields, plus all of the other units. More Harbingers moving in from the left. This is where Blinchik is going to run into trouble, because due to the weakness of the units in a 1-to-1 comparison, you're going to have to sink all your Harbies into one spot. The one thing he might have going for him is the ability to get in and overcharge a couple of Percivals. Since there's not many Percivals right now, it will make a tremendous difference if he can even eliminate 1 or 2 of them. But anything that Blinchik tries to do to focus his army is going to be met with a response like this. So ACU breaks back to the left, all of those Harbingers as well, removing a good half of his units guarding the front line to go over and guard the left. Sniper bots, that's not something you see too terribly often in a 1 versus 1, and I wish that you saw more. It's Aeon's tool that can go toe-to-toe with the Percival. Of course, they don't have as much damage. They are a little bit gimped on HP, but they do have the reach to soften up a lot of the units that are marching on your base. One thing I would encourage in a situation like this is building T3 mobile artillery. Aeon has the only T3 mobile arty that can fire while it's moving. And while the area of effect is quite small, it does still have an area of effect. So you can mix the T3 artillery into your army similar to the way that you mix T1 artillery into your forces. Oh my goodness, that Percival just about depleted the shield in 2 shots. Actually, there were probably 3 that came in. So if you have that T3 arty in there, even when you're microing your forces around, the T3 arty is still going to be firing, and even if it has an accuracy penalty, it's still going to hit because you're firing at large groups of units. Mobile shields coming into the mix for Bias. That's going to pretty well negate the sniper fire. HP just soaks that up on the shields. Looks like 3,500 per shield, so 2 to 3 rounds from each sniper. Maybe 3 rounds from each sniper. And those are just going to move over to the left, taking advantage of the fact that all of the defensive units are over here, and these have been pressed into service towards the front line in order to move on the center. But seeing the units move back, just going to poke and prod a little bit. No need to be hurried. No need to force things. You just want to keep your enemy suppressed, make sure that you're ecoing up and getting more Percivals online. Is that Is that a tack launcher? I don't see a tack launcher. I might be looking at one and not seeing it, but I don't see it. There are TMD down there now, so there may have been at one point. Alright, T1 point events going down on the shelf to help defend from anything that would drop that way. We've got all T2 mass extractors except for one right there. Of course, negating the forward positioned mass extractors that you don't really want to upgrade just in case they die. Gonna try to conglomerate all of the units again. Oh, that's what killed that T2 Max. Hello. The brave little Obsidian. Gonna knock out that pillar. The front end damage on these is amazing. They're basically like a T2 Percival. If only they had a little bit more range. Gonna knock out another T2 mass extractor over there as we refocus on the front line where sniper bots are struggling to penetrate the shields. We got T2 point events going down all over the place to try to add a little damage to the mix. Of course, the T2 point events do outrange the Percivals. ACU still on the front line, but dangerous as it is, the shield is shut down. That must mean that Blinchik was having some serious power problems. All air factories shut down, a lot of the shielding shut down, and it looks like going for a T3 power generator offhand. So that is a pretty dang big shift for Blinchik. Second T3 power generator going down for Bias, however, and looky here. A slowly built fat boy, but a fat boy nonetheless in the works for Bias. That might indeed be the final straw that breaks the Blinchik's back. Blinchik rocking minus 400 power. So the, whoopsie, I did not mean to press that. The mass income is probably not accurate. We'll go take a look at Bias. Bias has got a T3 Air Factory online, is 4,000 power ahead and rocking 191 mass per tick. So he is in a very good position indeed with quite a few units to his name. So 191 with 20,000 reclaim. We got 16,000 reclaim and 201 mass. Blinchik actually passed Bias for mass income. Holy cow. I don't know that he'll be able to catch up due to the unit detriment, but it might just happen. That extra income is due to the fact that Blinchik is capping off mass extractors, something that Bias has not even begun yet. Plus, that tank was able to move around the rear and kill 3 mass extractors, maybe a 4th. Look at that. That Obsidian is going to keep moving through the back. The hero tank that we might not need, but we might not deserve, but that we definitely need. 5 veterancy on that son of a gun. We'll be able to survive 3 Percival shots, and it looks like Bias didn't extend the move order on his Percival, so he's going to lose another, potentially 2 more mass extractors. Blinchik on the front line, standing firm against Percival fire. This is where things get sketchy. Shield is down, 9k HP. Between the overcharges and the Harpies, was able to eliminate every single Percival on the left. The ACU just owning it. ACU staying to the rear to regen that shield and HP. But we've now got Harpies versus Pillars. This could be a good push, and it does look, yes, like Blinchik is moving up on the advance. Sniper bots picking up a pillar over there. We've got a total of maybe a dozen Percivals on the front line versus a roughly equal number of Harbingers plus the sniper bots. So sniper bots need to retreat. This is gonna be super sketchy. Strat Bomber out for Bias. That's gonna have to stay on the front line and try to deal with all of this. He's going to sacrifice his left side expansion, I think, in order to secure the center, but no, he's decided retreat's the option. He's got 5 Percivals, which should be able to counter most of this, and then he's decided to pull back on the front line. So the T2 point event still being built by Blinchik. Lots of Harbingers at hand. This is really your only good defense against Percivals marching into your base, so I do not begrudge the T2 point events being built. Looks like this might end up being a mass donation for Bias, though, as all of these units move to the left. Hopefully the Harbingers can inflict enough hurt that this is worth it. But with the amount of Percivals moving up from the back, yeah, we're going to get 2 raiding Harbingers that break away and try to outrun everything as they move around to kill stuff. Percival finally was able to catch up to that Obsidian and kill it after yet another Mass Extractor went down. And this Harbinger is going to get killed before it can do anything fantastic. Alright, Strat Bomber moving to the south. This could now be an issue, but we do have a T3 mobile anti-air online. That is going to move in and try to catch that Strat Bomber. Air engagement in progress. Bias is going to come out the heavy winner in that regard, but we do now have T3 air online for Blinchick. Strat Bomber going to go down to a final projectile from the T3. The most you're going to lose is a couple of point defense, not even a Mass Extractor, so a bit of a waste on that Strat Bomber. In the center, got a good amount of Percivals versus slightly more Harbingers, but remember that they don't count on a one-to-one basis. Ah, that looks like a Sniper Bot or a T3 mobile anti-air. Sniper Bot. So we're probably going to get a Sniper Bot out. Nope, that is T3 mobile anti-air. Okay. T3 mobile anti-air. And then I would imagine, yep, mobile shielding to protect from a Strat Bomber so nothing can come here. And then we're probably going to see T3 mobile artillery. Area denial, my friends. Area denial. Same thing over here. So what this is going to do is it's going to prevent Strat Bombers from flying around the outside edges of the map. We're probably going to see a couple of SAMs go down, strategically placed in the center, so that Strat Bombers flying through the base will get shreked. And then we're going to see air coming online for Blinchick to deny anything that Bias can throw. And that actually looks like an air factory lock to me. Black up all the way around the outside edge for Bias, though, so any air on this side of the map is also going to have a difficult time surviving. Wonder why all these interceptors aren't in play. That seems like it would have done a better job. Blinchick doesn't technically own air. I thought all the interceptors died, but they are all over there. Interesting. Very interesting. This looks like a push to me. We got a Galactic Colossus going down for Blinchick. The question is that scouted? It is. He knows it's back there. He knows he's got to push, because if that GC comes online, it might end badly for him. ACU on this side, struggling a little bit in the HP field, but he is going to be able to overcharge all of those. Percival's not moving in fast enough. The distinct possibility remains that Bias did not actually notice that Galactic Colossus when it was scouted. 246 income, all of that going towards the GC versus 197, 30k income on Reclaim and 18 for Blinchick. So Blinchick definitely far behind on Reclaim, but thank goodness has a massive amount of mass to make up for it. Percival's poking their heads in once again where they don't belong. Galactic Colossus is over 50% complete. Harbinger struggling to hold the line as Oblivion turrets rip apart the rightmost Percivals. Once again, the Percivals push. Once again, the Percivals have to retreat. Blinchick has no shielding to his name, but he is regenning about halfway there, and he's able to eliminate the last of the Percies. I really think that Bias should have pushed. I think he had enough. If he would have gone around this side instead of pressing right where the point defense were, he definitely would have had enough to eliminate Blinchick. Oh no. Oh no, Blinchick. No! No! Dodge the shot! In comes 2 more! Dodged again! No! By the skin of the teeth! Unit blocking, preventing him from getting hit by that. 100 HP on the commander with 5 freaking Percivals. There's the shield. He's protected by 8k now. but it's still not going to be enough to survive that. You better damn well get your units over to the left. They're on a death mission now. ACU moving into the right to get closer to the GC, and here comes the fat boy from the back line. GC is gonna have to redirect and go immediately for that fat boy to kill it and prevent the shredding of the base. Do we have another GC going down? We do have another GC going down. Percival's moving in on the left. Blinchik moving in once again to try to get the overcharge in on these Percys. He's got to prevent this eco from falling if he has any hope of winning. GC trying to dodge and weave just a little, finally getting in range of the Percivals to eliminate a couple of those. There's a Tractor Claw picking up Percivals from the right and from the left. Maybe he'll be able to whittle these down enough that he can get through them to the fat boy. On the left-hand side, this expansion is looking rather lost. ACU trying to defend once again within 3 Percival shots of death. If those 4 Percivals focus fired, they might be able to kill him. These should be moving in. Yes, the pincer, and down goes the commander. Oh my goodness. That was intense. With a little bit of farm's luck, Bias might have made it out of there. Look at the GC on the front line. Plenty of Harbingers to spare. Fat boy retreating, nothing left. GC still on half HP. Second GC half done in the base with just a handful of Percivals on the left. If there would have been a few more Harbingers on the field, a slight difference in micro, Blinchik would have won that. Holy smokes. There's the T3 artillery on the edges. I saw it firing a minute ago, but I did not want to spare a minute to look at it. This eco would have been eliminated. The core of the base had quite a bit of upgrades, but Bias had fallen behind on almost everything that he had. That Percival push on the ACU saved him. That is gonna wrap everything up for this video, guys. If you enjoyed it, feel free to drop a like and share it with someone. If you want to support the channel, catch the streams, or join the Discord, check out the links in the description. Thank you all for being at least partially insane, and I will see you in the next one.